Hi there, I'm P.Ε.Ι. Together, we're about to take a look at a number of important points on your new Volvo, so that you'll obtain the very best results and be satisfied with the truck. Most of the things we'll be looking at are explained thoroughly in the operator's manual, which is the same for all three types of trucks: F10 320, F12 360, and F12 400. During this run-through, we'll be using an F12 360, and where we come across any differences between the truck variants, I'll point these out. We start with daily care. Before starting off in the morning, there are a few important things for you to do. We commence by checking the oil. There's about 12 litres of oil between the minimum and maximum markings on the F12 and 10 litres on the F10. The operator's manual will tell you what grade of oil you should be using for the winter and summer months respectively. Now we move on to check the coolant level, which you should do here. The level should be somewhere between the minimum and maximum markings. You can read about the correct antifreeze mixture in the operator's manual. And now, the washer fluid, which you check here. Next on our checklist are the trailer's brake and electrical connections, plus the fifth wheel. Now check the tires. Are they punctured? Or are there stones or other objects jammed between the tires? And while you're at it, check the wheel studs as well. And finally, of course, the lights. Well, these were the things that have to be checked before starting off. Now let's take a look at how you adjust the seat and steering wheel. The lock for adjusting the steering wheel is here. Slacken it, and you can adjust the wheel forwards, rearwards, upwards, and downwards. The fore and aft movement of the driving seat is adjusted here. You set the weight for the springing here. You adjust the height of the front edge of the seat there, rear edge there, and backrest inclination. We'll now have a look at the instrumentation of the truck. Up here on the left is a row of indicator lamps, and on the right there are warning lamps. And as you can see, each lamp has a symbol and a color, which identifies the function they serve and how important they are. Moving on to the actual instruments, up here are situated the temperature and fuel gauges, oil pressure gauge for the engine, and voltmeter. The tachometer is here, and we'll be talking more about that later when driving. The braking pressure gauge. With the truck on the move, both pointers should lie within the green sector. And this is the speedometer, which incorporates a tachograph. The switches are here, and you can also see each has a symbol which indicates which function they serve. Air conditioning? Read the operator's manual on how best to use it. The diff lock is here. It works like this. The bogie lift control. The operator's manual will tell you how to use it depending on the type of bogie you have. If your truck is equipped with ABS brakes, the indicator lamp for that system is placed here. It should light up when the truck is standing still and go out when you start moving. This truck is equipped with air suspension. The pointer of the pressure gauge must always be within the green sector before you start off. We have two optional extras here, an outside temperature gauge and a turbo boost gauge. If your truck is not fitted with an electric stop, the stop control is here. And this is the hand throttle. We now go over to the controls which are placed round the steering wheel. Here we have on the right-hand side the control for the trailer brakes. Here is the direction indicator stalk and also the light switch. And here we have the control for the wipers and washers. Before we do any driving, I'd like to show you the various key positions on the starting switch. The switch has 5 different positions: neutral, radio, driving, preheating, and finally the starting position. When I turn the starting key to the preheating position, you can see that an indicator lamp lights up, telling me to release the key, which springs back to the driving position. The indicator lamp shows that the starting heater, which consists of a glow coil on the induction manifold, has been switched on. Depress the accelerator pedal and turn the key to the starting position. The indicator lamp lights up again, and a second preheating phase starts automatically. Should the weather be really cold, or if the engine is still smoky, you can use the preheater again. By warming up the induction air, you help the engine to start and reduce the amount of smoke, which is always the result of starting a cold engine. You must never use starting gas on a Volvo engine fitted with an electric preheater, since, if you did, you'd risk an explosion in the induction manifold or in the intercooler. In the cold winter months, you must never rev up the engine immediately after starting. Take a look at this and you'll understand why. Oil is very sluggish when cold, and so if you're using anything else than a good winter oil, you can easily understand that the engine is not going to be feeling very good. Warm up at about 600 revs for about 1 minute. Then gradually increase engine speed to a maximum of 1200 revs, letting the engine warm up a few more minutes, depending on the prevailing temperature. Before we start driving, I'd like to tell you a little about the gearbox. This truck has a range gearbox called the SR1700, which incorporates a high speed and a low speed range. This is the shifting pattern. Using this red toggle switch, you can choose the range speeds, down for low and up for high. You always start in the low speed range, and then you shift through first, second and third before flipping the switch to the high range. Now, when the gear lever passes through the neutral position, you can start again in first, which is now fourth, fifth and sixth. This is the splitter control with which you can halve each ratio, giving a total of 12 speeds. This means you can always select a gear to keep engine revs perfect. I'll be showing you how to use it later on. We have just seen how the SR1700 operates. The SR1400 is exactly the same. If you have an R1400 or R1700 gearbox, the gear positions look like this. As you can see, you have a fourth gear position, but you have no splitter gear. The starting switch must always be on for the inertia reel seat belt to work. This is the parking brake. Remember that it's only spring-loaded in the stop position. And this is the blocking valve. If the air pressure has been under 4 bars, the blocking valve has been activated, and you must push it in again, like this. Now we're ready to start driving. We're standing on fairly level ground with a train weight of approximately 40 tons. In this case, first is an ideal starting gear. If, however, we'd been standing on a hill or in otherwise difficult conditions, then we would, of course, not hesitate in using the crawler. The crawler is marked with a C on the gear lever. And so, toggle switch up. Third. First becomes fourth there. Fifth. And now we pre-select a half ratio, button up, declutch. We're in fifth high. Pre-select to low on the splitter. 5th high to 6th low. Pre-select again. D-clutch. And 6th high is engaged. As you've noticed, we don't use the splitter gears in the low range. More often than not, it pays to go through complete gear steps to begin with, and when we reach the higher gears, to divide them.